Carter, and I will be giving the sermon for today on habits versus faith. So, welcome to the first Sunday of the new year. Yay! Tomorrow will mark the seventh day of the new year, and with it, for many, it will be the seventh day of their New Year's resolutions. Some will celebrate overcoming the challenges of their first week of implementing change, and others, like myself, will sit at home on the couch with a glass of wine and chocolate, patting ourselves on the back for not buying into the capitalist narrative. For those that go to the gym, the month of January will be overcrowded and tedious, but it will get better with time as people slowly stop showing up and revert back to their old habits. And most of us will most likely sit with mixed emotions, contemplating why some succeed in adopting changes and why some fail and revert to old habits. And we all want to know who thought it was a good idea to initiate major life changes in the middle of winter when it's cold outside. And most of us are probably in the midst of developing a vitamin D deficiency due to a lack of sunlight, due to shorter days. Life's great questions and the never-ending journey in the search for the answers is what today's rumination is all about. What is holding us back from living our best life every day? And what is the secret ingredient that we're missing in order to initiate those changes and maintain the life we want to live? These are the concepts that occupy my time when I'm driving in the car by myself with the radio off, or when I'm laying awake at night. Of course, I don't have to look very far to find the answers. I'm just one podcast, self-help book, or gym membership away from finding the solution. And this time of year, I just have to provide them with my credit card information first. And it is with this mentality that many of us go through our life looking for solutions. Well, as most of you all know, I'm not always the most conventional type. And a few years ago, while I was picking up some household items at Dollar Tree on Hamilton Boulevard, I took a minute to look through the book selection, all of which were conveniently priced at $1. How is that even possible? That's a completely separate issue. Stay tuned for a sermon series in the months to come on how capitalism is destroying America. But all of us broke girls know that the Dollar Tree is the place to be when you're trying to get on by with hopes, dreams, and free coffee. I picked up a book called The Best Year of Your Life. Dream it, plan it, live it, by New York Times bestselling author Debbie Ford. And at the time I thought, well, I'll read this next week. Fast forward a few years, and I just recently removed it from the bookshelf at home and dusted off the cover. It's taken me a few months, reading a few pages here and there when I'm in the mood, so I'm only about 40 pages in. I'm not sure how it will end, or what its completing will mean for my 2019. But I guess we'll have to live through the year and see what happens. I mean, it was only $1. What's the worst that could happen? And heck, I made more use of it than my gym membership in 2018, so it must be doing good. One of the main things that Ford has covered thus far is doing a personal inventory and asking the reader to write down what their fantasy life would look like. And then from there, taking the time to have the reader list the emotions that that individual would have while living their fantasy life. It's a lot to take in. Sit back to when you were younger and what did your fantasy life look like? The moon, fighting fires, arresting the bad guys, being sick and wealthy rich, who knows? And as you take a step closer to review those emotions, to see what you would need to do to have those emotions take place in your life, and of course, once this part of it is done, you create an action plan. Sounds like I'm getting written up at work. An action plan. I'm only 40 pages in, so it's probably more complicated than that, and that might be why I've struggled so far, but I'm working on it. I'm not going to commit to anything quite yet. Only 40 pages. But the whole concept of self-improvement got me thinking about some of the challenges that we face as a religious institution. And in a world that seems to be becoming increasingly divided and hostile. And at times, these things are done in the name of one's religion. How do these things impact our ability to reach out to new members? Maintain relationships with existing members and friends of our church? Right? That right there is more than a 20-minute sermon. But instead, it will most likely become a sermon series that we'll revisit from time to time. It's an issue that's bigger than any one person, with no one-size-fits-all answer or a wall that will fix all of our problems. It takes time. It's tough stuff. It gets complicated. There's a lot of emotions. Debbie Ford talks a lot about emotions. I like emotions, almost as much as I like my food. To start addressing the things that came to mind as I started pondering, I look back on 2018 and some of the things that our congregation had done to help set ourselves apart from those around us. And that in and of itself gives me hope for our future and the future of those in our community. I hate to brag, but we're already doing great things. We just have to remind ourselves of the impact that we have. Last fall, we spent time talking about the importance of community and using healthy community networks to address issues such as loneliness, social determinants of health, and the impact that they have on people and the greater community, and the costs that come along with those issues. Change can happen through big items and small items, through words and through action. And with the little things, the impact can be both truly profound and breathtaking. Let's take a moment to think about the church's decision to host a space for the Grandparents Raising Grandchildren support group this last year. The group provides grandparents raising their grandchildren with the support of people that have experienced the same struggles that they're going through. A meal is provided and free childcare, so that it's not just impacting the short term for how grandma and grandpa handle things, but also impacting the rest of that child's life. We are not just investing in the issues of today, we're helping ensure that the next generation has a network that can support them, celebrate them, and ensure that they have a future that they can be proud of. Then there's the Unity House project that we've embarked on with the clinic. It's making use of space that was previously underutilized and creating an environment for healing. When you walk up to the front doors of our church, you'll notice that there are gardens on both sides of the cement pathway. Not many other churches can brag about that. Mother Nature gives us sunshine and rain, but Jeannie and Janice and Dee make sure that when Mother Nature is taking a break, things get watered, the weeds get pulled, the flowers get deheaded, and it looks beautiful, and we can celebrate the things that matter most. Jeannie makes sure that the Sierra Club has a home and that environmental justice is given a place in our faith community, and that we acknowledge the impact that our environment has on our ability to have a healthy community. Deb has the Sioux City Now chapter meet here and houses them, making sure that women's rights are human rights, and that we remember in Little Sioux City, Iowa, of the place that we hold and the power that women have. The Pride Alliance meets here every week, once a month for potlucks, and we remind people that minorities are important that they are valued, that they are loved, and that they matter to us. How do we stick out from other institutions in town? How are we making those differences, both great and small? The little things, like phone call check-ins on other members of the congregation to see how folks are doing. Judy coming early to get coffee ready on Sundays. Andrea organizing RE for the kids and making sure that we have lesson plans that foster a brighter future for them. Or seeing several members out yesterday to see Elizabeth Warren speak, putting our values into action like the signs on the windows of our sanctuary indicate. There's a lot of things, both great and small, that we do. And I know I'm a broken record when I do this. And Karen will wish she had never done this because it inspires me. And every time I question what I'm doing and whether it's a faith thing or a habit thing, I flip back to the front of our hymnal, and it's right in the prologue. And I just read through this in my own time. I keep a copy of the hymnal at home. It's useful for when Neva wants the order of service on a moment's notice. We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, and respect for the interdependent web of all of existence of which we are a part. The living tradition we share draws from many sources. Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. Words and deeds of prophetic women and men, which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. Wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life. Jewish and Christian teachings, which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. Humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science, and warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit. Grateful for the religious pluralism, which enriches and ennobles our faith, we are inspired to deepen our understanding and expand our vision. As free congregations, we enter into this covenant promising to one another our mutual trust and support. The Unitarian Universalist Association shall devote its resources to and exercise its corporate powers for religious, educational, and humanitarian purposes. The primary purpose of the association is to serve the needs of its member congregations, organize new congregations, extend and strengthen Unitarian Universalist institutions, and implement its principles. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to adapt for a New Year's resolution. And sometimes we have to ask ourselves, is attending church a part of showing your faith in humanity, or is it a habit that's easy to follow and provides free coffee? Change takes time, and we start the process whenever we decide we're ready. The first of the year is not a deciding factor for many of us. In our congregation, we come from many walks of life, many experiences, and we give back to our communities. We are atheists, we are humanists, we are Buddhists, we are Christians, we are recovering Catholics, former Lutherans, non-religious folk, but we all enjoy our time together knowing that we are creating a seat at the table, not only for ourselves, but for those that have not had a seat in the past. Through things big and small, I hope that you can join me in 2019. The future is ours, and it is what we make of it.